Hello and welcome to another video. Um, so the character currently is doing a lot more damage than I really need. So since my last video in the private league, we've been farming. I now have 2 cluster jewels. Tried the destruction, martial prowess, feel the fight, feed the fury, smite the weak, and calamitous. I have a lethal pride with anointed aspect of the links. It's just this double damage. We don't really have oils, like nobody's really doing farming for oils. So my issue right now is not damage. My issue right now is survivability. Believe it or not, I can actually get like even more damage. Like if I get this freeze mastery, I can very comfortably reach like 120 million DPS or something, just by changing up my passive tree a little bit. But I need more defense. I want more defense. That's basically my main issue right now. I've been doing a lot of Legion stuff, and I occasionally get one shot by Legion, or I occasionally get one shot by the Mercenaries. I'd like to make my build tankier. I'm not entirely certain how to do that at this current point in time. It's private league, you really don't have access to a lot of stuff. So I'm planning some stuff out, but same weapon, same glove combo, General Cry, Auto Exert, Volatility, Blade Flurry. I PoE'd everything. Volatility is higher DPS than the increased crit damage stuff. Crit damage at the time was just really good because I didn't have the cluster jewels with like crit multiplier and other mods like that on them. So yeah, now volatility is just the #1 support, as well as having Perkle's Toe on the Mercenary. Same belt. Boots, I've dropped Dark Rays because I want resists and I want more life. This also gets brittle into the build. I have a taming. Same amulet that I've been using since day 1. This is currently fixing my attributes. I am still trying to figure out how I'm going to solve attributes when I eventually get a Yoke of Suffering. Similar to this ring, I dropped this ring like very early on. It's a day 1 ring for me, and I've just been using it since. Heat Shiver. I got a Conquest Lamellar, and this one is rolled fairly decently for the purpose of my build. And I have a new shield. This one has reduced extra damage from critical strikes, life, cold, chaos res, and the chance to block mod. My gems are pretty much all high quality that need to be. There is a world where maybe I'll just drop Anger for Determination would make mapping a little bit more comfortable. Just sitting in my hideout, I have... Well, when I actually start mapping, this will go up because I'll actually be able to generate endurance charges. I'll just run a map. It's temp chains. I'd rather not do a temp chains. I'm very tired this morning. I did not sleep well. That's fine. Probably get fireballed by some goat dude. For scarabs, we kind of consolidate a lot of stuff. I'm stockpiling more expedition until I can just blast some expedition. I'm stockpiling more breach. I do have some legion, but other people also want to farm Legion. I've not been using any of the ones that I drop. So it's just gonna be a, yeah, just like that. Just gonna be an Alkin Go map. Gotta make sure that I actually read everything. I know the negative res, I cannot run it, but I sometimes click the, like, less recovery rate one, and that one is like a no bueno for me.
Approach, challenger.
Like, I have actually reached a point in time where I did not expect this build to function, and the crazy thing is that I can still maintain Trinity somehow, even though according to my PoB I should not, when I don't have my merc around me. So my PoB will be considered to have the Mercenary in like radius or whatever. I'll loot that so I don't have to come back up past the boss when I come out of the boss window. And keep in mind that my Reeve is only like 20 million DPS, but the Blade Flurry is like 80 million, somewhere around there. Hold on, I wanna, okay.
No god will answer for you.
Sometimes they kill you, sometimes they don't. It's really just the dot dudes, and there's one I think does like some kind of proximity shield. I've PoB'd quite a few different things with my character, and there is ways that you can make the damage go up. Like if I get a yoke, realistically 180 million DPS is where I can get. I've not PoB'd switching my Reeve into a Blade Flurry and doing a main link Blade Flurry, but I'm assuming that my damage would almost like go up to like maybe 220, 230 million. This is against Pinnacles, not Ubers. I don't calc for Ubers, but I would like to be able to sustain 100 million with like a Blade Flurry single target setup, and then get a ton of defense into the build. That's where I would like to be. 100 million DPS is more than enough for me. It's basically like what I'm doing right now, where like I can disable my brain and not have to think about the game that I'm playing. The weird thing is that because you have a Merc, if your Merc isn't giving you like 20, 30 million DPS, I just don't think they're worth it. I'm gonna be honest, like, I just don't. Because it just feels kind of like a waste of time with how much they inconvenience like my screen, how much they inconvenience like just everything. Because the lower DPS you have, the more like they are going to be attacking and everything else like that. So it kind of just becomes a situation of where I'd rather not have the Merc if I'm on like a budget build, because it's just going to screen clutter and make it harder to see the screen. Because if you have low DPS and you have low tank, you need to dodge. But if you have like some 75 million projectiles and like animations and everything else, like the minions and stuff, body blocking on bosses, like Exarch is really annoying. Thankfully, you don't lose XP for dying. You can kind of make them tank. Oh, that's a nice one. You can kind of make them tank random like mechanics, but it's just I think they do more harm than good at this point, but that's just me. And then once you get enough DPS, nobody really gives a shit. So I'll leave a link in the description to the PoE. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you've had a good league start if you've played Reeve, or maybe you're looking into this build because you're curious of where you can go next with your own character. Frenzy Generation is staying through Blood Rage, Ice Bite, as well as the Implicit. Endurance charges are sustained through Endurance Charge on Melee Stun, as well as Enduring Cry. Enduring Cry, you can get quality on it. You can get a Boot Implicit if you want. Else I would stick with Dark Ray Vectors. Next step from here is to get like an Arn's Anguish, get the Endurance Charge Ralakesh boots, and then basically you do the same exact thing, but you'll be able to maintain Endurance Charges and Brutal Charges. And other things you can do is you can get a Brittle Bot, which is a bow character that gives you Wrath that way. Because, hold on, I'll go over my Merc. My Merc has Perkle's Toe. I put an Ice Tomb on it. I thought this would be kind of funny. I really don't see it being useful. Belted Deceiver. That's literally it. I gave him some wands with like some cold damage and like chance to freeze. Because I wanted to see if maybe he can do enough damage to freeze stuff. But all I really cared about was making sure that he was positive res and then positive chaos res. But it turns out that you don't need to give a shit about the res. So, yeah. The next thing that I want to do is I want to get this bow bitch who gives me Wrath and has an Assassin's Mark. I have no idea if this Assassin's Mark will override your mark on hit. But I want to give this bow bitch a lot of stuff. I think you can get the Curse on Hit ring with like a Dodre's Damming to still make it so that they can apply a Curse on Hit. If you get that, plus you get like the Scorch boots on them, so that they can Scorch, they can curse them with Elemental Weakness. That means you can probably drop like Forces of Nature and instead anoint Forces of Nature, because then you don't care about Invert as much. Invert can be potentially damning to your DPS, and you're more than enough DPS for general map clear, where you don't really care about the 15% chance for Invert. And then instead you can pick up, you can take my PoB, you can pick up like Retaliation, you can pick up Fangs of Frost and take the permanent damage for how long they've been frozen, if you really want to go like into the maximum amount of like DPS potential bullshit. So I've had some thought processes on how to upgrade the character. Additionally, for the purpose of the bossing, as well as for the purpose of doing Expedition. For doing Expedition, I drop these 4 points, and I pick up Assured Strike, and then I take monsters cannot block your attacks, because I've done like 20 logbooks in a single like 2-3 hour time period, and rolled like all the Tujin and stuff in that same amount of time. So that's something that I do for that. Another thing that I do is, me personally, especially for like fights like Maven and whatnot, where you're not going to really sustain rage, I drop this 1 point and I just put it into the 10% chance to gain a frenzy charge when you hit your marked enemy, because at the very beginning of bosses, you don't have rage, you don't have ice bite built up, and your DPS is pathetic. Once you get the frenzy charges stacked up, because you scale a lot of damage with your frenzy charges and endurance charges, and you get a lot of flat damage from your frenzy charges. Once you get your frenzy charges stacked up, the build will do more than enough bossing DPS without rage. So that's just what I've been doing. But that's just like a 1 point respec. So I don't really care about the 1 point respec at the current time. Yes, I think I can make the build tanky. No, I'm not entirely certain how I'm going to do it yet. That'll be a problem for future me to fix. Thanks for watching. Bye.